There's a state of mind that leads to success, and there's a state of mind that leads to failure. Is it possible to change your state of mind? And if so, how do you do it? Well, that's what this episode of the Business Building Success Show is all about. My name is Glen Springfield, and welcome to the show. There was a study done that at UC Berkeley that is extremely interesting and extremely valuable. Now, I'm going to tell you about the study and how it can impact your business and your life. But first, let's just talk about the whole concept of emotion. When you can say the quality of your life is equal to the amount of positive emotion that you experience. So the amount of joy, the amount of love, the amount of good positive emotions. And people that are miserable, they will experience a greater degree of misery because of fear and because of stress and because of anger and all these other negative kind of emotions. So it's important that we tune in to our emotional state, because our emotional state determines how good our life is. Our emotional state determines how good our relationships are, how good our business is. Our emotional state has a lot to do with everything. Now, if you look at somebody that is depressed, they are not in a good place emotionally, what are the signs that they're depressed? What does their body look like? Well, typically they'll be looking down more than looking up. Their shoulders will be kind of hunched over a little bit. They will kind of mope, and they got a sad look on their face. And, if you've said, okay, I have a depressed person behind curtain number 1, what do you think they look like? You could describe what they would look like. And then if you say, I have a happy, joyful person behind curtain number 2, what do they look like? Well, chins up, shoulders back, smile on their face. They look happy because they are happy, right? So what's the message there? It's obvious that if you're depressed, you're going to look depressed. If you're happy, you're going to look happy. But did you know that if you change your physiology, then you change your state of mind. Now, physiology, I mean how you carry yourself, right? So if you think about a happy child, how active are they? They're really, really active. They're moving around all the time. But you look at somebody that is depressed, they are not moving around very much at all. So we can say that emotion has a lot to do with motion. When you become active, it changes your experience. It changes your emotion. Now, I want to get to this study that was done at UC Berkeley because it was just amazing. They took a group of people that were chronically depressed. That means that they had been diagnosed as depressed for a long, long time. And so the doctors determined that their depression was somehow linked to a deficiency of Prozac, and so they had been on prescriptions to control their depression. And yet, even though they're on medication, they're still depressed. Some reported they were depressed even when they sleep. They're just chronically depressed. They're depressed all the time. They're in a deep depression. They're using chemicals to try to alter their moods, but they're still depressed. What they did at UC Berkeley is they took this group of chronically depressed people that had been diagnosed as depressed and had been given chemicals to alter their mood. They took them and put them in a little research project. And what they did is they had these people stand up in front of a mirror and hold their shoulders back, change their physiology, hold their chin up, and then smile. A big grin. A grin so big it causes crow's feet on your eyes. A real big. And then they had to stand like that for 20 minutes, looking at themselves in the mirror and grinning as big as they possibly could, standing up straight and breathing deeply. And what they found was at the end of a month, the people were no longer depressed. This 20-minute practice every day of just changing their physiology and grinning into a mirror got them over the depression when prescription drugs had not helped them get over the problem. They were no longer chronically depressed. Now, what that tells us is that our physiology can affect our emotions. Our emotions affect our life. So if we can become more active, and if when we're not in the state of mind that we know is the success, confident, optimistic state of mind, we can change that. You just go get in front of a mirror and you change your physiology. Now, I was introduced to this maybe a couple years ago on a TED Talk where a lady was talking from a different university, different research psychologist, but what they were talking about was what they called the power pose. And so if you get your hands on your hips and you stick your chest out and you look ahead and you get in the posture of Superman or Superwoman or your hero of choice, but they call this a power pose. And they showed that if you hold yourself in a power pose for as little as 5 minutes, it changes the hormones in the body. The cortisol goes down, the stress goes down, and it just does wonderful things. And you're more confident. You're more likely to take action. Now, we know that we got to have the success psychology right. We have to control our mindset. But the reason that we have to control our mindset is because our mindset will determine what we do and how we do it, and will determine our expectations for whether it's going to succeed or not, which has everything to do with success. So if you're not feeling confident, if you're not feeling excited, if you're not feeling optimistic, now you have the tools and you have the science to change that. Get up, get in front of a mirror, adopt the power pose, grin like the happiest child you ever saw in your life, and hold that. And then see if that doesn't make you feel better. So, this is Glen Springfield. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Business Building Success Show. And I want to just extend a special invitation that if there's some topic that you would like me to talk about, something that has to do with building a successful business, success psychology, or anything like that, just leave me a comment and tell me what you would like to hear, what you would like to learn about, and I'll be glad to address that for you. But for now, goodbye. See you next time.